If you think your yard is too small for fruit trees, wait till you see what we're planting today. Honestly, a lot of folks get discouraged because they feel like their space is working against them. You buy a plant with hope in your chest, you nurse it for months, and then boom, it dies on you or grows into something that looks like it's trying to fight for territory. I've been there, and it's not fun. But today, we're flipping that whole story around. I'm walking you through 10 fruit trees that actually stay well behaved in small yards. These are the ones that give you harvests without turning into giant, moody monsters that block your sun, crack your pavement, or scare the neighbors. And I picked them with real-life gardeners in mind. Folks like you who want results, not headaches. Stick around till the end because I've also got a tiny bonus tip most people overlook, and once you learn it, you'll understand why some small yards turn into mini orchards, while others struggle season after season. Let's get into it. Let's start with one of my absolute favorites, dwarf apple trees. These little guys are perfect for tight spaces because they don't try to take over your whole yard. They stay compact, they grow politely, and they give you real apples that taste better than anything you'll buy at the store. If you've got a small yard or even just a patio with decent sunlight, this tree fits right in without causing drama. Now, if you're wondering which ones to pick, I always point beginners toward varieties like Honeycrisp, Gala, or Fuji in dwarf form. They're consistent, they're forgiving, and they don't need a lot of space to actually produce. A single tree can keep a small family happy during apple season, and you won't need to wrestle it into shape. For watering, think simple and steady. Apples don't like to sit in soggy soil, so aim for a deep watering once or twice a week depending on how hot your area gets. And pruning, please don't let it scare you. Just remove the dead or crossing branches once a year and keep the shape open enough for light to get in. If you can handle trimming your own hair or even someone else's, you can prune a dwarf apple tree without stress. And honestly, this one has saved more gardeners from giving up than I can count. It's the tree that makes people say, wait, maybe I can actually grow fruit. Trust me, this one's a confidence booster. Next up, let's talk about dwarf peach trees. If you've ever bitten into a perfectly ripe peach and wondered if you could grow your own without owning a giant farm, the answer is yes, and it's easier than you think. These trees stay naturally compact, almost like they know they're supposed to be on their best behavior in small yards. And the flavor you get from a homegrown peach, it's so sweet and juicy that you might start judging every store-bought peach for the rest of your life. They're also perfect for sunny patios. As long as you can give them good light, and I mean real sun, not that shy corner that only gets light when the clouds feel generous, they'll reward you with beautiful blossoms in spring and fruit later in the season. They don't need a ton of room, so even a medium-sized container works just fine. But let me save you from the most common mistake people make with dwarf peaches: over-watering. Peaches hate sitting in wet soil. They want moisture, yes, but not a swamp. If the soil still feels damp from your last watering, give it a break. Too much water will ruin the roots faster than you expect. Once you get the watering rhythm right, this little tree becomes one of the easiest and most rewarding fruit trees you can grow. Now, let's move on to dwarf pear trees, because these ones are honestly some of the most polite and well-mannered fruit trees you'll ever plant. They don't spread everywhere, they don't shoot branches into your walkway, and they don't grow like they're trying to challenge the roof. They stay compact, they stay manageable, and they actually look pretty elegant in a small yard. It's like having a tree with good home training. When you're choosing a pear tree, here's one thing to pay attention to. Look for self-pollinating varieties. A lot of pear trees want a friend nearby to help them produce fruit, but if you don't have space for two trees, pick one that can handle the job alone. Varieties like Moonglow, Kefir, or Seckle are great examples. They give you fruit without needing a whole orchard to back them up. And the best part? They won't take over your yard like that one uncle who never leaves. Pear trees know how to mind their business, grow quietly, and still bless you with a nice harvest. If you want something low drama that still pays off, a dwarf pear tree is a fantastic choice. All right, let's slide into the tropical side of things, because small yards don't mean you have to give up on that vacation garden dream. And we're starting with a classic, the dwarf banana plant. This plant grows fast, and I mean fast enough that you'll find yourself checking on it every morning just to see how much taller it got. It fits beautifully in containers, so you don't need a huge garden bed. Just give it a decent pot, some sunshine, and regular watering, and it'll take off like it has somewhere important to be. The big thing with banana plants is the leaves. They're gorgeous, wide, and dramatic, but they need a little care in hot weather. If the sun is blazing, those leaves can get a bit stressed. What helps is keeping the soil consistently moist, not drowning, but never bone dry. Think of it like giving the plant a cool drink on a hot day. The happier the leaves are, the bigger and healthier your plant becomes. And here's a tiny hack that makes a huge difference. Protect it from strong wind. Banana leaves tear easily, even though the plant itself is tough. If your yard gets gusty, tuck it near a wall or fence so it has a little shelter. It'll look better, grow faster, and stay way less stressed. Now, let's talk about the dwarf papaya tree. This one is a superstar for small yards because it grows straight up instead of spreading out everywhere. It's one of those plants that says, "Don't worry, I'll stay in my lane." Papayas love warmth, so if your area gets plenty of sun, they'll shoot up quickly and start producing before you know it. And even though they look exotic, they're surprisingly beginner-friendly. The one thing you really have to watch with papayas is root rot. These trees hate sitting in wet soil. The trick that saves so many new gardeners is simple. Raise the planting area or use a container with excellent drainage. That way the water flows through cleanly, the roots stay healthy, and your tree focuses on growing instead of struggling. If you can keep it warm and avoid overwatering, a dwarf papaya can turn even a tiny backyard into a tropical moment. Both of these trees bring that island feeling right to a small space, and they don't make your life complicated. Once you understand their simple needs, they reward you like nothing else. It's honestly one of the reasons so many viewers come back and say, "Wow, my tiny yard actually feels alive now." Now, we can't talk tropical without touching on one of the all-time favorites, the dwarf mango, sometimes called the patio mango. This little tree grows slow and steady, which makes it perfect for pots and small spaces. It doesn't rush, it doesn't sprawl, it doesn't wake up one morning and decide it wants to become a giant shade tree. It just takes its time, stays compact, and eventually rewards you with those sweet, fragrant mangoes that make you feel like you're on a beach somewhere. The key thing with mango trees is light. They're sun lovers through and through. If you can give your dwarf mango a spot where it gets good, direct light most of the day, it'll stay happy. A bright patio, a sunny corner of the yard, even a balcony that catches afternoon sun, all of that works. When the tree has enough light, the leaves stay shiny and the growth stays healthy. If it doesn't get enough sun, it sulks. And trust me, a mango tree that's sulking will let you know. Now, let me give you a small personal confession. The first time I grew a patio mango, I kept trying to help it by giving it more fertilizer. I thought it was giving it a boost. No. I was basically overfeeding it like an auntie who insists you need one more plate. Mango trees don't like that. They prefer light, occasional feeding, not a buffet. So if you ever feel tempted to keep adding fertilizer, just walk away. Give the tree space to do its thing. Once you understand that balance, plenty of light, steady watering, and gentle feeding, the dwarf mango becomes one of the best fruit trees you can grow in a small yard. It's patient, it's beautiful, and it pays off in a big way. All right, let's shift gears a little and look at some cold-hardy, beginner-friendly fruit trees. These ones are perfect if you want something reliable, low stress, and willing to forgive the occasional mistake. And we're starting with a classic, dwarf fig trees. Fig trees absolutely love containers. It's almost like they were designed for them. You don't need a giant yard or fancy landscaping. Give a dwarf fig a good pot with decent drainage, place it where it can enjoy the sun, and it will reward you again and again. And let me tell you, there's nothing like picking a warm, fresh fig right off your own tree. It tastes completely different from anything you'll find in the grocery store. One of the reasons figs are so popular with new gardeners is how low maintenance they are. They don't need constant babying or complicated pruning. They tolerate a little forgetfulness, and if you miss a week of perfect care, they don't make you feel guilty about it. A little water, a little sun, and a little patience. That's all they ask for. They really are one of the kindest fruit trees you can grow. So if you're someone who's still building confidence or you've had a few plants mysteriously retire early, a dwarf fig tree is a great way to bounce back. A lot of gardeners start with one just to see if they can do it. And before long, they're messaging me saying, "Oh my gosh, it's actually growing." It's a real morale booster. Now, let's talk about pomegranate trees because these guys are tougher than they look. Pomegranates are sturdy, drought-tolerant, and absolutely perfect for small urban yards. They don't mind heat, they don't mind poor soil, and they don't complain when life gets a little dry. They're like the calm friend who never stresses you out. And the fruit, that bright red, jewel-like goodness, looks like something grown in a royal garden, not a tiny backyard. People are always surprised by how well pomegranates adapt to small spaces, but once you understand them, it makes total sense. They're naturally compact, and they have a shape that stays manageable without hours of pruning. If you want more fruit with less fuss, here's the simple trick. Give them consistent sun and avoid overwatering. That's it. When pomegranates get plenty of light and the soil isn't constantly soggy, they bloom like crazy. And more blooms means more fruit. Some gardeners even grow them in large pots and get amazing harvests every single year. So if you want something beautiful, tough, and generous, something that doesn't make you work harder than you need to, a pomegranate tree might be the perfect addition to your small yard. These two trees, figs and pomegranates, prove that even beginners can have a garden that feels productive and full of life. Now, let's move into the final section, the unique, eye-catching trees that make people stop and say, "Wait, you're growing that in a small yard?" These are the ones with real wow factor, and we're starting with a classic, the dwarf lemon, especially the Mayor lemon.
This tree is a patio superstar. It shines in containers, it looks beautiful year-round, and it has that sunny personality that makes a small space feel instantly brighter. It grows neatly, it stays compact, and it doesn't need you to be a plant scientist to keep it happy. If you've ever wanted a plant that literally brings sunshine into your yard, this is the one. And the smell, oh my goodness. When those blossoms open, the scent is unbelievable. It's soft, sweet, clean, and honestly, one of the best natural fragrances you'll ever bring into your home. People get hooked on this tree just from that alone. Neighbors will walk past your patio and pretend they're looking for something just so they can smell it again. Now, for anyone growing their lemon tree indoors or in a spot without many pollinators, here's a really simple tip. Take a small, clean paintbrush and gently brush it across the inside of each flower. That transfers the pollen just like a bee would. It takes less than a minute, and you'd be amazed how much fruit you get from that little trick. Indoor growers swear by it because it works every time. All right, let's talk about something a bit different. The goji berry in tree form. Now, technically it's a shrub, but when you train it as a small tree, it looks absolutely adorable and fits perfectly in tight spaces. It has this delicate, airy shape that brings character to a yard without crowding anything out. And once it starts fruiting, it becomes a real conversation starter. The berries themselves are nutrient-packed. They're known for being loaded with antioxidants, vitamins, and all sorts of things that make you feel like you're doing something good for your body. And when you grow your own, they taste fresher and sweeter than anything that's been sitting in a package at the store. Keeping a goji tree in shape is simple. All it needs is a light pruning once or twice a year to help maintain that tree form. Just remove the wild branches that stick out at odd angles and encourage the main trunk to stay upright. It's easy, it's quick, and it makes the plant look like a charming little mini tree. And hey, I'll warn you now, once you start snacking on fresh goji berries, you might feel like you suddenly gained superhero points. Something about eating those bright red berries straight from the plant just makes you feel healthier than you were 5 seconds ago. It's almost psychological, but honestly, enjoy it. Your garden should make you feel good. Both the dwarf lemon and the goji tree bring personality, beauty, and a little bit of magic into small yards. They're simple to care for, fun to show off, and they make your garden feel like something truly special. All right, before we wrap up, let me give you one tiny tip that honestly changes everything for small yard gardeners.
And it's not fancy, it's not expensive, but it's powerful. Choosing the right container size. People underestimate this so much. They either grab a pot that's way too big because they think the tree needs room to grow, or they grab something way too tiny because it looked cute in the store. But the sweet spot is a container that gives the roots enough space to spread a little without letting them wander endlessly. Here's the funny part. Fruit trees actually produce better when their roots are just a little snug. Not cramped, not stressed, just slightly tight. When the roots feel a bit contained, the tree focuses more on making fruit instead of trying to become a giant. It's like the plant says, okay, I'll stay small, but I'll give you something sweet in return. That's why so many small space gardeners get crazy good harvests. The container itself is training the tree to put its energy into producing instead of stretching out. And this is the part I want you to remember. You don't need a big yard to eat like royalty. You don't need acres of land or raised beds everywhere or a garden that looks like a magazine shoot. You just need the right varieties, the right containers, and a little consistency. Small spaces can grow big flavors, and you're absolutely capable of creating your own little orchard, no matter how tiny your yard is. If I can grow a mini orchard in a cramped space, trust me, you can too. There's nothing stopping you. You've got the curiosity, you've got the heart for it, and now you've got the right trees to try. And the beautiful part is we're just getting started. I've got way more small space gardening videos coming your way because your yard, no matter how tiny, deserves to shine. So if you enjoyed hanging out with me today, go ahead and like the video, drop a comment, and join the SereneGreen family. We grow together around here. We laugh at our mistakes, we celebrate our wins, and we keep learning as we go. All right, my friend, I'll see you in the next one. And please, don't blame me when your neighbors start asking why your yard suddenly looks like a fruit buffet.